Hello, everybody, and thank you once again so much for tuning in on this episode of The Vuyo Show, coming to you from New York City, where I have inspiring conversations with unique guests from all around the world. And today's guest is a very special, lovely lady who I know you're going to love and fall in love with because she gets to share some beautiful music and through acting, her beautiful craft as well. So I'm hoping that you're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes together with myself and this next guest. She is, oh my God, I cannot wait for you guys to meet her. The one and only Reese Antoinette.
That was nice.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I am so excited for this conversation. As I said, like you are in between two worlds of creativity that I think takes so much skill, so much patience, so much understanding that when you do then get them right, it's just so effortlessly so.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to see you in kind of both those lights. So I'm looking forward to exploring
Yeah.
how that journey has been for you
Yeah.
and what we can expect in the future. But how are you feeling first and foremost?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah?
good. I'm feeling full and, excited. I think
Yeah.
is the word that comes to mind just because, like, there's just so many things that I feel like I've been working towards that I'm seeing kind of happening right now and stories I want to tell and just like, just energy that I've been feeling connected to for so long that I've wanted to channel into my work that I feel like I'm doing. So it feels good.
It feels
Yeah.
good. That's comforting to hear. And I know I had a brief conversation with you. I'm not sure if it was early this year or last year. Well, that's a
Time is
conversation
like-
for another day. Time is just flying.
It's flying.
But I knowing that NYU, being an institution that's very close to your heart, kind of has a strong background into molding this artistry that we get to see and love today.
Yeah.
Share with us how NYU played a significant role in your career.
Yeah, I mean, I went to NYU for my master's in acting. So I graduated in 2021. And right after that, I booked a show on Apple TV called Bad Monkey, which got me to explore my Caribbean heritage and this amazing story that was originally written by Carl Hyacin and is now a TV show on Apple called Bad Monkey. And I get to play a really fun, strong Caribbean woman, but I mean, I want you to watch it, and I don't want to give away too much, but NYU really gave me the foundation to explore my Caribbean heritage in my work in theater, which is what we primarily focused on at the time, but we also did like some cabaret, we did multiple things, our classes and stuff like that, where you get to be yourself and explore different parts of yourself. And that program really allowed me to, try out some stuff. I was going to say something else, but I don't know if I can curse. So, but yeah, it was a great 3 years of my life. And, the network and the friends that came out of it are great. So, yeah.
Said something just before you ended that particular point, which is the friends and the networks that you were able to cultivate in that space. A lot of people have had this debate whether going to tertiary institutions to go and further your creative endeavors can be particularly impactful because of that reason. Would you kind of say that it really has honed a lot of how you see the industry, the perspective of the industry, because you are in that space? Or how would you kind of explain that as well?
Yeah, I mean, the NYU network is strong, but I think any university that you go to, you're going to get access to so many things that they have, which is great. It's dope. It really does benefit you as an artist, I would say, because you're getting to explore parts of yourself in a safe environment that you wouldn't be able to do outside of school. It's you have the freedom to fail. You have the freedom to succeed. And like when you have a safe space to do that, you do take the opportunity, if you're going to be there for 3 years, to explore some stuff within yourself and get the support from the faculty and the team. So yeah, it's a bit of a network, but it's also a resource for yourself and for others. And the way I look at it is always like, whatever I take, I give back. Like, so people helped me get to where I am, and I in turn help other people get to where they want to be, and kind of is like a chain, right? So and that really does come from that kind of like thinking about the education, but also the community. And NYU, at least NYU grad acting, we had a very strong community, and we still do. So yeah, I think it's worth it, but I'm also a big advocate of you don't need school unless you need to work, especially at a master's level. Like if you want to like hone in on a craft, then I would say cool, because that's what you're going to do for that amount of time. But like it's not necessary. There's a lot of talented people in the world that don't have degrees, right? So it's not like the answer, but it could be the answer for you, So I think that's kind of like got to figure out, because it's expensive also,
That's the part. That's the one part that I've had a lot of debate with a lot of people about. But also another thing that I took from what you said was that there were a number of different things that, and we're not promoting NYU or anything like that. But it's just I'm just shout out to NYU. I'm just intrigued by this, right? Because you're a holistic artist, as I said. You do music. And a lot of the times when you see someone who's been trained in theater, there's just something about the way in which they perform. You mentioned that there are certain things that you did which, if you didn't go to an institution like that, you wouldn't have necessarily done or been able to do. Cabaret, acting on stage, acting in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Is that something that you say as you're training in acting or you're training in performance, you have to involve yourself in just various different aspects of performance to be able to be a honed creative?
Yeah, I think that's also a credit to the program, to be honest, because they basically tell us what we're going to study and what we're going to do. You don't get to choose your own classes. Maybe that's something most people don't know. Like in a MFA program, at least the one that I went to, everything is laid out as to what you're going to learn. And that does include theater. It does include filming your own work. It does include, games and performances and stuff like that. And having a space to develop ideas too, and talk about it with your classmates and stuff like that. So, I think that's a part of it to a certain extent. Yeah.
Because also the way in which you'd see performers who have training, that they think about all those different elements, from how the voice sounds to how it, how different it is.
Because you're thinking about like how you want to tell your story, and depending on the character. Like how does this character move through space? How does this character talk? Is this character soft-spoken? Is this character really loud? Like all of those kinds of things you think about when you get a script or you read the story. And honestly, most of it is usually on the page, especially if you get a good writer. So it's like a dream as an actor, because then you just get to be in the moment of the text and the ensemble of it. But like I would say with my music specifically though, that's been a different journey. I feel like that has been something that has come from, what do I want to say? What do I want to communicate to the world around me? Where am I right now? And I write all my music. So it is really reflective of where I am in that moment. And sort of riding the energy of expressing that through the medium of a mixture of like a reggae, a mixture of like, it's been like a little Brazilian funk, a little R&B. And that also just reflects the fact that I love to travel. I love culture. But like my family is from Jamaica, but I've been traveling to the Caribbean my whole life. So for me, the Caribbean is my like happy place, like it is the place where I feel like the energy of the ocean and the people and the food and the music. So like, when I write, I'm not like, oh, this is a reggae song. It's just like, it's a vibe, right? And I take all the vibes, put it together, write the song. And that's a creation process that really comes from like my energy and my spirit. So it's different. I think as an actor, you get a script and you're able to, basically have a conversation with all the people who put this together in a creative way to create this product. With music, I have a little bit more freedom, just because it is literally my idea that I'm making into something that, I hope people will connect with and share. But it's also an extension of myself.
And you can translate it the way that makes sense to you for the audience, and on the other hand,
Right.
there's 3 parties involved, including the
Yes.
writer, or even 4 with the director
Yeah.
who then helps. So there's a lot of these different parties that come into play. What's your take on the debate of skill versus talent? And
What is the debate?
so basically, that you can have a talent, but without it being honed and skilled, then is it really then a talent? Like, or you're born with this talent, but or do you have the skills to then take that talent to where it's meant to go? There's just always these kind of roundabout debates that I've just found myself just baffling in my head. I'm like, I really don't know. Is it enough to just have the talent? Do you need additional skills?
I think it's not just talent. I think it's a lot of hard work. I feel like people are pretty talented, you know, like the internet kind of proved that. Like, you know, I mean,
TikTok
specific. I mean, maybe it's not the talent you thought you were gonna like, but people have talent. People are interesting, you know. I think that the internet kind of opened up something within us that, you know, kind of took away the idea that those people are the talent and we are not. Now it's like everybody to a certain extent has an opportunity to grab a phone and tell a story or do something that, you know, grabs attention. So, you know, but I feel like in everything, what's consistent from like, oh, you know, social media to television, film, is like, how consistent are you in like connecting to what you want to say and be and share? You know, like that's the hard part. That's the part nobody talks about. Like, yes, it's cool to go to this school or, you know, go on that. But like the little things in the back of like how you got there, that's a show, right? Like, that's a show. Because like I feel like people just, you know, they only see the final product. But like talent and skill is not just like being entertaining. It's also like what you do when you're not on camera. You know, and for me, it was like I graduated school in 2021, like I said, and I had all this time in between auditioning and trying to get to the next thing, like everybody else. But like, I was like, okay, what do I do with my time? And I was like, okay, I want to share stuff. And that's where the music came out of that. You know, it came out of, I still want to share things, but I don't want to wait for somebody to give me the opportunity. You know, so I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm going to do it my way. And people may like it, they may not. But I'm going to do it because I'm here. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm here.
And there's this responsibility that you've, because of that desire, I always see it as that. I see it as that desire, that strong urge. I kind of see it as that is a responsibility being given to you. Either take it or you don't.
That's right.
You know, and you either say yes or you don't.
That's right.
But when did you discover that you have talent? When did you know that? Without anyone telling you? Because sometimes people tell you, like, oh, you're so talented. And then after time, you start believing it.
Yeah.
But for you, was it like that? Or did you have to find within yourself the belief that I have talent and therefore I'm either going to go to school, I'm going to release this music, or I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah. I'm pretty shy. It's weird because I know like I don't appear shy, but like that's part of it. I had to learn how to like stay out in the world, because my go-to is really just like stay to myself, be in my own creative world. But I'm like, okay, this world is cool, but I think you want to share it with people, you know, like you're taking the time to create something. And it's like, that's the part that's like, I just want to like continue to do that, like stay out and not, you know, go in and feel like I can't share something because I'm not ready or something like that. But I'm just like, I'm never gonna be ready. Like, you know, like when is ready, you know, like time is going, and like I don't feel pressure from time, but I do feel so present with wanting to share things. And I had to learn how to get over the hurdle of not wanting attention and to be seen. I'm just like, where is that coming from? And you know, I explored that. But the real joy that I have is in overcoming that to a certain extent, because it's always going to be there, right? Sure. The little nerves before you perform, or, you know, like questioning, are you good enough, and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, I think that voice will always be here, but like I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. You know, because I can't change the circumstances. I can't stop people from thinking what they want. Like I can't like please everybody, and I don't want to, you know, I don't. So it's like now it's a sense of like creating and being from a sense of like authenticity and just like love. You know, like that's where I started when I released my first song, What is Love? It was about questioning what is love in every capacity, you know, love of self, love for someone else, love of a thing, love of nature. And that really set me on a course of exploring the complexity of it. And that's led me to, you know, the next song that I'm about to release this year, which is a Bob Marley cover of Natural Mystic, which I recorded at Tough Gong in Kingston. Along with support from the Tough Gong family, you know, to distribute it, and also working with Dale, Dale Virgo, which is a producer from Jamaica, but also in LA. And like, that was a process of creating from love. Like, it was, for when I heard Bob Marley's Natural Mystic, which is one of my favorites, I was like, this song is about nature. It's about connecting to self and people around you. It's about connecting to the times. It's political, but it's spiritual, but it's also just simply just, if you sit and listen, you will hear everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And that kind of message, I feel like is timeless. So I was like, I want to cover that song. And we did a lot of fun stuff with that song. I'm really excited to share it because I brought in nature into the Natural Mystic song and wanted it to reflect my spirit and my relationship to love of nature and self, but also to the world.
Would you say that your music is from a place of curiosity, a place of desire to share a voice with the world? Where would you say it stems from? Because, you know, you're sharing the story now of hearing the song of Marley and having this, wanting to then explore it in your way.
Yeah.
So where would you say the stem of it, so where it starts before you then go on the journey to creating it and sharing it with the world for your music?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a cover. So I know how it was done before. But in that, it's about, one, let me take away the pressure of covering Bob Marley. And two, why am I covering this? What is drawing me to this song now in this moment? It's different when I write because I feel like I'm like, what story do I want to tell?
Yeah.
But with this particular song, it was about, oh, this is timely. This is me now in the world. And that's why I incorporated the nature in it. It was a moment for me to say, breathe, go. That's what the song is for me. And it feels like that, but it's melodic, it's also ethereal. In the original, like, it feels like Bob is recording the song in the studio with the band, and that's kind of the sound, right?
Yeah.
And this, it's much more of a 360 immersed sort of exploration of the song, but also it feels like you're in the jungle.
Wow. That already sounds like something I want to hear already.
I want you to hear it too. I want everybody to hear it. I can't wait to share it.
And Jamaica, I mean, Bob Marley being someone, you know, a very iconic figure from the Caribbean. You mentioned your Caribbean roots earlier on. How do you work in between these two worlds? Like, how do you work with being Jamaican in this environment of the USA and then having to still continue being Jamaican or having your voice strongly inserted within this market, in this industry? What does that look like for you? Yeah.
I think my parents are from Jamaica. I was born here in Jamaica, Queens, actually, which is ironic. But yeah, you know, as a Black woman, I feel that being an American that has an immigrant background with my parents, there's such a gift of that because I get to bring in the heritage from my family and also mix that with growing up right here in New York, you know? So I have like this dual citizenship, which actually I do have dual citizenship, which was important to me because I wanted to be Jamaican and I am American.
Yeah.
And so as a Caribbean American that connects to, like I said before, like all the islands and our specificity of our food and our culture and our languages, a little Spanish here, a little French here, a little English, you know, a little Portuguese. It's like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know another place on earth that has such a mix in that kind of way. And I love it. It's beautiful because also in New York, we're here. You know, there's so many Caribbean people, especially in Brooklyn, you know, where there's just a celebration of that with the food and, you know, even like the parade here, you know, it's the biggest. It feels like being a Caribbean woman has given me this access to the world and not seeing it in one way because in the Caribbean, we all look very different and we have, you know, different vibes, a mixture of African and European and, you know, Chinese, Indian, like it depends on Spain, you know, France. And then the native people, the indigenous people who are on the island, the Taino, and we mix with all of that. So you can walk down a street in any of these islands and think, these people are from your country. It's never like, oh, you look a certain way, so we don't think that you are. So like, you know, going back and forth between New York and Jamaica, growing up, going to the Caribbean, like that was normal. So it kind of like allows me to kind of see people as who they are, not from the outside in, but like, okay, like, all right, you got this accent or this. And it's very New York too, right? Like, you know, there's everybody here. So it's been really beautiful. I feel like it was a way, being Caribbean American has given me a way to kind of see the world in a bigger way. And when I travel, I'm curious about the people that I'll meet. And, you know, now we're just all a band of misfits, of all friends that I have from all over. But, you know, it informs my work, you know. It's just cool. Yeah.
You speak patois?
I speak patois.
Okay.
You heard it a little bit?
No, I'm just curious. I'm just curious. That's all. I find it so fast. Like I've spoken to a couple of Jamaican people, and then when they switch to like the accent, and it's just so fun. I'm like, do it again. Do it again.
Yeah, man. So man, I can't speak patois. Like it's just because when I was growing up, right, in the house, we would speak patois sometimes, and I would hear it because my dad still has his Jamaican accent, and my mom goes back and forth. And so, but like in the house, everybody's speaking patois, you know, like, and we're eating Jamaican food and all these kind of things. And so right now I'm taming it down a little bit. So it's not as
it's coming out though. It's coming out.
But, you know, it's kind of like any language that, that you know, you're from. It's a way to kind of bring you home, you know?
It changes your, like even the way you think. Like when I start speaking my home language, even the way I move, even the way I use my hands, even the way it just completely changes you and your energy and your vibe. So playing that Jamaican character or that Caribbean woman character for you, what did that feel like?
Donnie. Bahamian to the T. It felt good. It felt good because I also felt like the show did such a great job of giving me space to explore the little and big things about this character, which you'll see. Everything was intentional, and they like asked questions about like, what do you think she would do? Or what do you think she would eat? Or what would she wear? Or stuff like that. So I was like, man, I have answers. Because like no one ever asked this question in relationship to the Caribbean. They're just like, well, let's just keep it generic, you know? So it's exciting to be on a show where I authentically got to explore being Bahamian and living in the world of the Bahamas and that unique relationship that Bahamas has with Miami and the US, which it's so funny because when we were shooting the show, which was in 2022, Little Bahamas was established, which was really exciting because like there's a Little Havana, a Little Haiti, but now there's a Little Bahamas in Miami. Which is really exciting. And actually there's this one street where it has all the original homes of the Bahamian settlers and what they did there and like how they created community, and it's really beautiful and it's preserved. For now, as long as we know. But I was there like a month ago. It's still there. But no, I think that they're really doing a great job of celebrating the Bahamas in Miami. There's a big Caribbean community down there. Between the Bahamians, the Haitians, all the Latin American countries, we're right there, and it's a big part of what makes the fabric of Miami, which you'll see also in the show. It's so Florida. It's so Florida. It's kind of exciting to kind of like see it from that perspective. So shout out to Donnie. I like her. So that's my character. Okay.
I like it when I hear someone speaking of their characters, right? Because they speak like they're talking about someone else, but they still are talking about themselves, but they're not talking about themselves because it isn't them.
No, it's a version of me, though. I think that's the thing about like any role that you play. It's always going to be a version of you, whether it's like 90% you, 10% you, it's still you because it's still me doing the role, But like Donnie as a character is just incredibly courageous and strong. And, I was talking earlier about like being shy and learning it. Like there's no room for that. She's also a mother in the show. And so I have a daughter, which is an incredible actress that I got to work with. And I'm excited for her just all around. Her name's Amina. And she's doing some awesome work too. So yeah, you'll see. I can't wait for you to watch it. We can regroup and
chat about
talk. And
question now that I have, right? And I did a bit of theater background in varsity back home, and there's always been like these conversations about which technique are you using? What are the different techniques? I even forgot about them now, but like, what is your technique to going to that character? How did you find Donnie, right? That's the character's name. How did you find her inside of you? Because you said you're very different. You're not, she's a lot more talkative or less shy.
She's different. I think she's different. I'm not a mother.
So how did you find her though inside of you? I think is the question.
I think I found her through the women I know in the Caribbean. I started from, she's a young mother. But she's independent and she knows who she is. And that's like a lot of Caribbean women that I know, and it's not that I'm not that, because I am, right? But I think, especially as a mother, there's a beautiful relationship with a daughter and a passing on of, not just like education, but also love. And I think that's a unique thing that people learn as a parent when you actually are a parent. But I was doing a lot of work in youth empowerment work in New York prior to going to NYU. And I worked with kids a lot. So it also helped me because of all of that work of caring for teens and middle school kids. I'd go to schools and, help create programs and stuff like that across the boroughs, but primarily on Staten Island. And for me, that kind of love that I put into caring for community is what I could translate into caring for a child, right? So it comes from like that experience of being generous, but also, giving back. I was like, that's what you do with kids. You put them in positions to succeed. Which is very important to me. So like being a mother wasn't too far off from myself, because this actress was already fantastic. So she was easy to work with, but she was also just had a big spirit and heart that you felt like you wanted to take care of. So I was just like, oh, and we still talk to this day. Like, we're very close and her mom and I are very close. So it's like those kinds of experiences on set are just so golden where you have a cast where you actually feel like, oh, I could be connected to this person in an authentic way, although we're acting, But in terms of like techniques and stuff like that, one of the unique things about NYU is like there isn't a specific technique. I did go to William Esper Studio before, which is a specific technique. It's Meisner. But now it's just like it's my technique, you know, you take all these things and then you create something based off what you're looking at versus like, okay, let me do the same thing every time. And sometimes it is some of the same things just because you need to learn your lines. You need to
strategy to memorizing it.
Yes, of course, especially like auditions and stuff like that. But like for the most part, it really is like my own journey with everything that I do. And I feel like I also like working with people in the room, like, what are we doing here? The director, like giving, feedback, and the writer sometimes is there, sometimes not. But like, even when those things aren't there, there's just so much information you have to create a world. And it's about like sharing it, like staying in it. And, that's exciting. I feel like.
I can see the way in which you're speaking about the process, right? Because we always see the final product.
Yeah,
but the process is what I think the artist inside of you gets to enjoy as well.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the other side of the industry, which is the auditioning and the yes and the no's that come with it? It takes, I believe it takes a strong-willed individual to still keep going.
Yes.
Even though the no's do sometimes come, the callbacks don't get called, you don't get the second or the third call. Like, how do you keep yourself then still centered and still keep going in the face of that all? Yeah.
It's more no's than yes, right, in this industry. And then there's sometimes changes, like we saw last year with like strikes and stuff. The way that I stay grounded is my music. I stay grounded in, my company that I keep, my friends, my family. For me, it's about really understanding who I am apart from me being an actor. That's important.
Identity is not.
Yes. Yeah. It is not just that. I am not just an actor. I love being an actor. I love singing. I love sharing my music, but even that doesn't define me. What defines me is how I spend my time, how I think, how I am in the world, what I choose to eat, where I choose to go. These are things I do have control over, and what a beautiful thing. Like, I do have control over that. So like, how can I maximize the most fun or the most sense of self in those moments? Because that's what I have most of the time, right? It's beautiful when I book something. It's beautiful when I'm working. And, we welcome more of that, absolutely. But the reality is, like, most of the time it's downtime, and that's beautiful too, because if you can enjoy the downtime and enjoy being on the set, it's a good time. All around, right? Like, but it does take some like real sitting with self and being like, okay, today this is who I am. Tomorrow, wow, that's different, but not judging that, because so much of being in an audition is like, are you right for this? Are you not? And like, I've learned that sometimes you're just not right. It's not personal. Like, it's just like, you're not right for this. And it's like, okay, you come in for something else. You're like, oh, or you see someone who booked it and you're like, oh my God, that person was so right for that. Like, that is not me. And that person is killing it, you know? So it's really like a bunch of acceptance of like, it's a journey. It is not a sprint. And being patient with that has opened up like a lot more joy for me in the process, instead of like, oh, you know what? I was thinking when you do it kind of looks like Get Out. Like when he's like doing the thing.
The itch and
but it's kind of, you're in the sunken place. Like that's it. Like, you can be in the sunken place really easy in this industry, because it feels like there's so many other things creating your reality. But in reality, you do have control over yourself. And I'm like, oh, I'm taking that. I'm gonna write music. I'm gonna learn a katana sword, which I take lessons. There's so many things that I can do in my downtime that also like feed me as an artist. And like, it's a journey, but